Hello everyone. So today I'm in sunny Minneapolis, so not the most temperate place to be in mid-November, but hey, for Minnesota in mid-November, it's actually pretty nice here. So I've had a lot on my mind, as I imagine a lot of people have, regarding the election and the stated intentions of both the president-elect and the people he is tentatively appointing to different positions. And one of the very big topics is mass deportation. I'm not going to get into everything about what I think about mass deportation and what the fears that I have about where that could lead our nation, but I do want to talk about what the Bible says. And I'm not going to go through a bunch of verses. You can search this out for yourself, but the Bible is fairly clear that we're supposed to care for the foreigner that's in our land as though they're one of our own. And I do feel it's a shame that most of the people that call themselves Christians in this nation voted because they want to see people deported. And I think that's one of the most un-Christian things you can do. I have personally decided I'm not going to call myself a Christian anymore because of this. Do I still believe in Jesus? Yes. Do I still love and want to follow God? Yes. But I think that Christianity has become something I no longer recognize, and I don't want to be associated with it anymore. So think what you may of that. For me, it's just a label. I still love Jesus. I still love God, but I'm not going to call myself a Christian anymore. I think that Christianity has failed in a very big way, and I don't want to be associated with it anymore. So anyway, I'm thinking about the Book of Ruth, and for anybody that has read the Old Testament, the Hebrews and the Moabites didn't get along. There's a lot of racial tension there, and Ruth was a Moabite woman. And so the story is her mother-in-law, after Ruth and Orpah's husbands both die, who were Hebrews in the land of Moab, Naomi, who renamed herself Mara, decides she's going to go back to the land of the Hebrews, to what we would call today Israel. And Orpah decides, nope, I'm going to go back to my family here in Moab. But Ruth says, no, I'm going to stay with you, and wherever you go, I'm going to go. Okay, so that kind of sets the story here, but just understand that Ruth, as a Moabite woman going into Israel, would have been seen as kind of an enemy. People would not have wanted her there. The Hebrews and the Moabites weren't supposed to have anything to do with each other, right? So they go back, and Ruth is trying to figure out, how am I going to survive? My husband's dead, and as a woman, I can't have a job or anything. And so, there was this tradition in Israel where the poor could glean in the corners of the fields. So they would leave portions of the corners of the grain fields unharvested so that the poor could go in there and take what they needed to survive. And so Ruth went into this field, not giving a lot of concern for whose field it was. Actually, I think that Naomi guided her to this field. Anyway, it's incidental to the story. What matters is that it belonged to a guy that was a relative of hers. But anyway, So she goes to this field, and so this Boaz guy who owns the field notices her. So Boaz, he talks to some people, and then he goes to talk to Ruth, and he says, "Listen carefully, my daughter. Do not glean in another field. Furthermore, do not go on from this one, but join my young women here." He's telling her, don't go anywhere else. Like, not just because, maybe he fancied her and thought she was pretty or something, but he's concerned for her safety. Keep your eyes on the field which they reap and go after them. So basically, wherever they go, you go. Don't get separated from this group of women who I know. You'll be safe if you stay with them. Indeed, I have ordered the servants not to touch you. When you're thirsty, go to the water jars and drink from what the servants draw. So don't go to anybody else. Don't go to the neighbors' houses. Don't go anywhere else. You stick with my people here. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your sight that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" So she knew she's hated. Like, everybody here hates me. Why are you being kind to me? Boaz replied to her, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband has been fully reported to me, and how you left your father and your mother in the land of your birth and came to a people that you did not previously know. May the Lord reward your work, and may your wages be full from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Then she said, "I have found favor in your sight, my lord, for you have comforted me, and indeed have spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not like one of your female servants." And at mealtime Boaz said to her, "Come here that you may eat of the bread and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar." So she sat beside the reapers, and he served her roasted grain, and she ate and was satisfied and had some left. When she got up to glean, Boaz commanded his servants, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not assault her." So this is important. "Also, you are to purposely slip out some of the grain from the bundles and leave it so that she may glean. And do not rebuke her. Don't turn her away, and don't get upset with her." So I'm not going to read the rest of this. Basically, the story has a happy ending. Her and Boaz end up getting married, and she has a child named Obed, who was one of the forebears of King David. I don't remember if it was great-great-great-grandfather, what he was. But anyway, I emphasize that assault there because Boaz was concerned about a very real thing. Racism in the ancient world, just as today, often resulted in violence, just as we see today. Racism is not a kind thing, and there's nothing good about it. And he knew that her being a Moabite woman, that the people, if they saw her in his field, would want to go harm her. Get her out of here. She's a Moabite. Get them out of our land. And so the reason I wanted to make a video like this today is I've been thinking a lot about this book and about what's happening in our country. And for those of us who say we believe in Jesus and we believe in the teachings of Jesus, we have examples in the Old Testament, and even in the New Testament, of people taking risks to protect those who are hated. And especially in this case, I think it's important to note, these were the Hebrews that she was among that were going to assault her. These were, what would have been considered the people of God. And we're at a time in our nation where we're seeing the people of God, largely for the most part, voting for a guy who has promised mass deportation of foreigners. And they didn't vote for this, or they didn't vote for him in spite of this. They voted for him because of this. The overwhelming majority of Christians out there want the foreigners expelled from the land and want them to be treated harshly. This is not biblical. This isn't what the Bible teaches. The examples we're given are contrary to what we're seeing in Christianity right now, at least in America. And that's why I have made the decision I'm not going to call myself a Christian anymore. I don't think that Christianity represents what I believe anymore. So, you can make your own decisions about what labels you want to use for yourself. My decision's about me. It's not about anyone else. But you do need to make a decision. If this new administration goes through with what they've said they're going to do, what will you do when they start rounding people up and somebody comes to you in need and they're scared and they're hungry and maybe they got kids with them? I think that every one of us needs to be thinking about that right now. And that we need to make that decision ahead of time. What's the right thing to do? If I say I believe in Jesus, if I say I believe in God, what will my response be when a foreigner needs help and they're scared and they're hungry? I happen to have a neighbor who just immigrated here. I don't believe he has obtained citizenship yet because he's been here less than a year. And they're talking about rapid denaturalization, even for legal immigrants. That even the people here who are here legally face a good chance of being rounded up. And if there's millions and millions of these people, as they're saying they expect, if you get 15 or 20 million people, I've been hearing different numbers, there's really no country that's going to take those people all at once and just say that they're going to take it. So that's, kind of where things are going is... Sorry, there's a guy walking through the parking lot staring at me. Very bizarre. Keeps turning around looking at me. So anyway, dangerous world out there, who knows? This hits home for me. I've got a neighbor just came here from another country. He probably expected to come here and make a good life and to try to live lawfully. And there's a really good chance he might be kicked out anyway, or he might be rounded up and put in some kind of detention center. And what's going to happen with these people? They don't all come from one place, and there's not one singular place that's going to take millions of people. So, I hope this message means something to you. I hope that it makes you think that the people around us are human. And as far as what God's word says, they deserve the same dignity as every other human. So until next time, bye.